welcome to Global Morning.
The death toll from flooding.
Most time our politicians just bring in policies too, for sure. If you don't say we have several more stories.
The legislature was carefully crafted to
22.2% inflation rates as of April this year. What does that say about where we are as a country?
I think Nigeria has resorted to being resilient.
Before you call the police station, before they even leave, they take permission from
I don't think there's really anything on ground to improve.
the struggle, the ASU strike.
Minister of Education volunteered and said, give me 2 weeks.
It was a life. The president never gave me any deadline.
A special good morning and welcome to another beautiful week. This is the first working day of the week, and it is Monday the 16th day of December 2024. It's obvious that 2024 is winding up, and of course we are getting closer to 2025. My name is Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course it is Global Morning on Global Television, where we bring you to speed with a whole lot from this side of the divide. And as a matter of fact, a lot of things happening right now in this country, and some persons are saying, well, no matter what happens, when it's time for Christmas, when it's time for celebration, people seem to forget about everything that is happening, and that's exactly what we have going on right now. The bustling, the hustling, the push, the calculation. It will amaze you that people are traveling. Contrary to the fact that some persons said a lot of people are not going to be traveling. Yeah, you can take that away. People are traveling all the same. But then check out the parks and see. All right. Someone said, no matter what happens, Nigerians are very hardworking. Nigerians can actually adjust to situations. Nigeria can find their way to get through situations. Nigerians can do anything to get to wherever they want to get to. But that doesn't mean Nigerians don't feel pains. That doesn't mean Nigerians don't feel the difficulties and everything happening as regards the economy. But one very surprising thing is the fact that there is a scarcity of Naira. First, it is the fact that Naira is falling, fell. Let me just use the word fell, because it fell to, I think, almost $1 is almost getting very close to 2,000 Naira right now as we speak. From just like a joke, we got it 1,000. Someone told me, sometimes this year that $1 was going to get to 1,000 Naira, and I argued it. I argued it, with the whole of my strength, with the whole of my economical knowledge, everything that I know about economy, about finances, about Naira, about dollar, all my research. But then the reality is before us. Naira, not just too long from when we had that argument, Naira shot to 700, and I was like, hey, come on, what's happening? Before I said, hey, where are you? It's already 800, 900, and we hit 1,000 Naira until it got to 1,500, and I was like, well, I surrender. I give up. No more argument. Whatever anyone say right now concerning the economy of this nation, I just keep quiet. I just watch to see how things unfold. But then, one thing about Nigerians is the fact that we still believe so much in ourselves. We believe in God. We believe in what we can do by the grace of God in a way, and that we will be able to survive through so many things. That's, by the way, if you want to celebrate Christmas, please celebrate it within the confine of your strength, as far as your strength can carry you. That's what you should do. Don't say because you want to please someone, Mr. A, wow, they are slaughtering a cow, they want to kill a cow for this Christmas, so I must try. At least if I can't kill a cow, let me at least get half of it, maybe a goat or something, or half of a cow even, as the case may be. But then it's not like that. All hands are not equal, all fingers are not equal, like they will always say. But then there's nothing bad if you are the longest of the fingers. But if you can't be the longest of the finger, you can be any of the fingers. But you should know that life happens to everything. Life happens to every one of us. Some of your mates are so rich right now. Some of your mates are very poor. Some of your mates, your classmates, the people you were giving birth to the same year, some of them are no more. I was just going through a platform right now, and I didn't even know. I've not been there for a while. And someone that I met not too long, people are donating money for her burial. And I was like, hey, come on. What is happening? What's this life all about? You know, it's good. Let me say this. It's good to really celebrate people when they are alive, all right? Because there's no amount of tears, no amount of crying will make sense or meaning when they are gone. So your loved ones, no matter how little it is, no matter how just small that kindness is, just go ahead, unleash it, make it happen. It's going to go a long way. Put a smile on someone's face. And sometimes you will be forced to ask questions. Why do people do the things they do? Sometimes if you don't know people's stories, you won't know why they do certain things. And that's the reason why I tell people all the time that you don't need to judge people from afar before you pass judgment on anyone, before you condemn anyone. And for me, I don't condemn people very easily, except research has been done, except maybe that thing has happened repeatedly and you get to know that, well, this person is guilty. And of course, when you want to blame people, there is a way you blame people. You don't throw a child away with the bathing water, no matter the situation, no matter the defecation, whether the child defecated in the water, whether the child urinated in the water. You don't throw the child away with the bathing water, no matter what. So no matter how bad the situation is, maybe the problem you're having with someone is such that you felt very bad and you go about condemning the people. I think what you should do is to see how you can forgive so that you can be forgiven too. I don't want to go scriptural, but I know that whatever you do to people, it's even a golden rule. Whatever you do to people, it will happen to you. Sometimes it may not be directly, but then remember that it is a golden rule. What you don't want others to do to you, you don't do to the other people, the other persons. But then the bottom line is, life is short, life is brief. Try everything possible to live a life void of trouble, void of challenges, even though sometimes these challenges come without you even negotiating for it. But what you need to do is forgive people that have hurt you, because the offenses will come, whether you like it or not, in as much as you are breathing. Just try, forgive them, make them smile, because you don't know when you will be leaving this earth, especially in a time like this, when the economy of the nation is facing a whole lot of challenges. There are people around you who cannot even feed just one square meal, but you have enough. But because you had a quarrel with that your neighbor some times back, maybe because your neighbor threw something in front of your house and you didn't like it, you've said it 3 times, you've said it 4 times, and it keeps happening, then you started keeping malice, or probably you don't even talk to the person. You wake up in the morning, you don't even say hi. This is time to make amends. The year is coming to an end, and apart from that, so many things are happening right now in this challenging economy. You don't need to make anything, all right? Don't allow anything put you into depression. Don't allow anyone put you into depression. The way people talk to you sometimes, you may not like it, but then the hardship right now is even too much for you to begin to put things in your mind, harbor people in your mind, keep malice, talk about people, backbite people, say things about people, try to recruit people to hate others that you look at as your enemies is very wrong. It's very wrong. These are not things that we should be doing as Nigerians. We are one people, we are one nation. We have the same blood running in our vein, despite the fact that life has made it such that some persons are taller than the others. Some persons are richer than the others. Some persons are highly placed than the others. But we are all equal in the sight of God. So whatever you do, you should try as much as possible to put a smile on somebody's face today. I'm talking about today. All right, just this day, and you will see what will happen to you. You know, most times people pray, people say, God, please help me, God, show me mercy. Someone says something a few days ago, and I was in reason with the person. You know what the person said? He said, try and visit the prison. All right, try and visit the prison, try and visit the hospital. See how people are languishing in pain. Some people are in prison right now. If you ask them, they will tell you they don't even know why they are there. Someone left the prison. He has been in prison for the past 12 years, and he was released yesterday. Was it yesterday? I don't know the day he was released, but he came to give a testimony in church yesterday that he is gaining his freedom after 12 years in prison. And someone says something that there are some people in prison right now, okay, maximum prison, whatever, minimum prison, whatever prison you want to call it. No prison is good for anyone to be, but then some persons are not as fortunate as you are. 10 years ago, they've been in prison, they've not been tried yet. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. 5 years in prison, they've not been tried yet. So what will happen if they get to try them, okay, if they get to face trial, and maybe the crime is supposed to be a crime that they should be sentenced for 5 years, 10 years. Already they spent 5-10 years in prison without even being tried yet. So these are some of the things you should consider, and thank God every day, no matter the economy. Don't go about complaining all the time. I don't like people that complain. That's me. I don't know. Maybe because of my faith or something. I'm not trying to talk religion here. Everyone have what they believe. But then there is something that I believe. Whatever you complain about all the time gets more difficult for you to achieve. Anything you are always complaining about, you find it very difficult to achieve that thing. So what do? Whatever you see, just pray to God and say, Father, take this away. God, help me. As I wake up this morning, as I go to the office, take control, be in charge. And that's how you can actually scale through life. That's how you can get through the hustles of life. Until you breathe your last breath, the battle continues, the hustle continues. All right. So what you need to do is don't always complain. We know I'm not disputing the fact that the economy is challenging. A lot of people are going through a lot of hardship. A lot of people can't even wake up in the morning and boast of 1 square meal. Yeah, it's happening to some persons right now, but some persons have 3-4 square meal. What am I trying to say? No matter what, as you are getting out of the house this morning, you don't need to look very worried. Let people not be asking you, hey, what's the problem? Why are you looking so dejected and rejected? Don't look like that, all right? You not looking like someone who is going through so much does not remove the fact that you are going through so much, and God can always send people your way. All right, it is Global Morning on this beautiful day from this part of Nigeria. FCT Abuja, Nigeria is where we're reaching you from right now. And on Global Morning today, we will go through the pages of the newspaper to bring you to speed with so many things happening in Nigeria and outside the shores of Nigeria, because you need to be informed. If you're not informed, you are deformed. And we do you the good by keeping you informed, bringing you details, and our news bulletin runs from time to time. So if you are on this channel, you will get to know a whole lot happening. We have a lot of other programs lined up for you today. And don't forget that we will have 2 basic discussions on Global Morning today, where we'll be looking at, if you're on the internet, you will know what is happening concerning statements and allegations, as some may call it, coming from Kemi Badnoch, and of course, you know where she is, and you know the kind of party she is heading, and you know how she got that position. Some persons are reacting to some of the statements she has made so far. And apart from that, we'll also look at the second discussion. Okay, that's going to be another discussion again, which has to do with 2027. A lot have been said about 2027, but then who is going to be the president in 2027? That is not what some Nigerians are even thinking about right now, because a lot of people have said, well, our civic right, we won't give up, we'll keep voting, even though sometimes our own candidate doesn't get there. Today we'll be talking about the fact that 2027 election, PDP is fronting or asking Goodluck Jonathan to run for presidency in 2027. It's going to form part of our discussion on Global Morning today. Let's go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return, and of course, we'll look at the pages of the newspaper. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and internationals.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
All right, again, it's a pleasure being here on the program this morning. I am Uyi Agumofwegbe, and Ramsey actually got to show off the ground this morning. It's a great Monday, no need reminding you of that, but what you do with today is going to determine what your plans have been and what your priorities are. Let's turn to the papers for you real quick so we can bring you big headlines and guide you through what the big stories are and ultimately the direction of news for today. We'll begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust has a handful of headlines on the front page of it, but we'll start out with the star headline on the front page of the Daily Trust today. It says high expectations as 32 states budget 22 trillion naira for 2025. Of course, we've seen states do that, quite frankly, in recent times. But two riders accompany that headline. The first one here says appropriations upped by 31% from 2024's. We're looking at the Daily Trust newspaper for you. The second one says governors should prioritize capital expenditure. That's the experts. Of course, that song has been sung for a long, long time. That is the need for capital spending to be very substantial as against the recurrence. Because one way to be smart about driving development and growth, especially in the area of infrastructure and development, is to ensure that we pay more attention from a fiscal standpoint now to capital spending as against recurrence. All right, let's take it a notch higher to see a few more headlines for you from the Daily Trust newspaper. All right, about the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, it says 20 dead, 11 rescued in Benue, both accidents. That was an unfortunate incident that took place, that happened yesterday. It was quite sad in Benue State. It has brought to the fore, Ramsey, by the way, the need for us to, as it were, reform water transportation in Nigeria, because as it stands today, it will appear that it is one incident too many. If it's not Lagos, it's Niger. If it's not Niger, it's Benue. And you're wondering where else will it be? What exactly are we missing with regards to water transportation in Nigeria? And this happens to be, by the way, for the records, your state.
Of course, when I saw that story, I felt somehow bad, because just a few days ago, the state transportation company had an issue where a bus conveying people that has to be carried in a boat across to the other side, fell into the water, and they had to rescue the people, and bring out the bus from the water. Now it is human beings, about 20 people dead, 11 rescued. So what are we trying to say here? If these boats are not okay, why carrying overload or too much? Who is there supervising the boats? Who is there checking the boats that are good enough to even carry people? and sometimes because of greed, they want to make more money.
Right.
They carry more people with loads and all of that, and you see these boats capsiding. Not just in Benue State, we've had in Bayelsa, we've had in Niger, and some other places, even in Lagos too, where is a very big riverine area. I think the authorities need to do something about that, so that these incidences can actually be minimized.
Well, brilliant way to put it. All right, still looking at the Daily Trust newspaper, another headline here just immediately beneath the nameplate says, politics, economy in focus as Obasanjo meets Kwankwaso Duke. We saw a picture of these three gentlemen, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, former Governor of Cross River State, Donald Duke, as well as former Governor of Kano State, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, hold hands, and we were told that the focus of their meet was to discuss the politics and economy of Nigeria. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and looking forward to seeing how that will pan out ultimately. Right, over 200 terror suspects bag death sentence and life imprisonment. You can find those details on page 6 of the Daily Trust, today's issue. All right, the Daily Trust has done a very brilliant work here with infographics on the front page regarding high expectations with 32 states budgeting 22 trillion naira for 2025. But then we have 4 more headlines for you from the Daily Trust this morning. ECOWAS okays Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso's exits. Tinubu pays 85 billion naira, $54 million levy. What's more, at the very foot of the Daily Trust newspaper, on the front page of it, why there is acute malnutrition in Northwest, that's according to the federal government. Nigeria exports 181.62 billion naira electricity in 9 months. Kaduna reopens markets after 10-year closure, urges peace. You find all of those on the front page of the Daily Trust this morning, so do grab a copy for yourself. Our next port of call is the Daily Times, and Ramsey has those headlines for us.
Thank you very much, Uyi, for those headlines. Let's quickly look at the Daily Times newspaper and see the major headlines that we have for the day. Above the nameplate, there is this headline that says, Tent House ready to drive economic growth to enhance national security. That's coming from the speaker. And the details of that you can actually find on the Daily Times newspaper. Then we still have this headline which says, Nigeria fully pays ECOWAS levy after 19 years. Nigeria fully pay ECOWAS levy. It's been paid after 19 years. So
apparently the last time we paid was in 2005.
In 2005. And it will amaze you that Nigeria is the giant of Africa. For a while now, we have Nigerian presidents being the chairman of ECOWAS. Even as we speak, our own president is the chairman of ECOWAS. Right. And we are this indebted. I don't know how it's been run, but then if the leaders are owing like this, I don't know how it's actually happening from that axis. Then this headline says, ASUB directs a polytechnic staff to resume work today. ASU directs polytechnic staff to resume work today, Monday. 2023 budget, that's the kicker. Clark urges Tinubu to declare state of emergency on South. That is South Roads 2025 budget. Clark urges Tinubu to declare state of emergency on South. You know who Clark is, an elder statesman making this statement. This must have a lot of meanings to it. Now to the star story, which is the big story on the Daily Times newspaper. ECOWAS sets transition period for Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso for withdrawal. Finally, you know, when this agitation started, that these 3 countries were going to leave ECOWAS because of some things that they were not comfortable with. Right. At first, especially that of Niger Republic, when there was this junta stuff taking over, military taking over forcefully and all of that. There was a time that the ECOWAS wanted to intervene, and people were thinking of process, how to intervene, what to do, and all of that.
What would be the protocol?
What would be the protocol? And they were like, okay, some persons should be sent to Niger, and some persons said they should use military. Of course, Niger is a small country. And some other persons will tell you, okay, you're looking at Niger as a small country. There is a country behind Niger where there were speculations about France and all of that. And recently we heard that Niger is pulling out from France, separating herself from France and all of that. Now, as it is now, we don't know the reason why all of this is happening, but then nothing happens just for happening's sake. As it is right now, what do you think? Is it a good one just to allow them go for peace to reign? Because this is a father here, and your son said, okay, I don't want to be your son anymore. And you said, okay, you don't want to be my son anymore. Okay, let me settle you so that you can go, or whatever it is. Allowing them to go, okay, even though they are part of the West African states. Now, do you see it as a good sign? Because you're allowing these ones to go. When others want to go, on what basis will you hold them back? So what do you think about this Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso's departure from ECOWAS?
All right, let's jump out of Africa for a second, Ramsey. We saw what happened with the Brexit thing a few years ago. All right, we had David Cameron as the Prime Minister of Britain, right? It was a question of, should we allow them go? Should we go or should we stay? At that point, if you were to bank on personal opinion, it was obvious that David Cameron would want Britain to stay in the EU, that's the European Union. All right, but then it was not going to be a matter of impunity or question of one man's opinion. So what did they do? They had to resort to a referendum to say, let's quote and unquote vote to decide whether or not we should leave Brexit. Whether there should be Brexit, as we came to know it later. And the outcome of that referendum was clear. The bulk of the people wanted out. They wanted to leave the EU. And of course, that's exactly what happened. And then for a gentleman like David Cameron, who had said, look, if the vote is for us to leave the EU, I would leave office as Prime Minister. Because he wanted he wanted Britain to stay. And really, that's what he did. A few days after he left office as Prime Minister, and then the other lady came in as the PM at that time. Now, that is beyond Africa. When you domesticate the conversation, that is when you bring it closer to home, the question is, should Niger Republic, Mali, and Burkina Faso leave ECOWAS? Well, that conversation is neither here nor there. I think it should be more about the question of, what's the reason they want out? Why are they leaving? Like you said, the father. Why would your son want to leave? But again, this is beyond even the father-son relationship. It's a sort of regional bloc where you want people to come together to be united, form, or if you like, forge a common front, an alliance in such a way that they are able to ward off common enemy, fight insecurity. They're able to, as it were, foster economic cooperation, some sort of sub-regional integration and things like that. But there's a history to this. Like you said, there's no smoke without fire. There was a coup in Niger Republic last year, January last year. We remember, quite more than 1 year now. Before that, there had been a coup in Burkina Faso and Mali. These are three West African countries that have something in common. They are all now being led by some sort of junta, military leaders. And as such, they said, okay, look, ECOWAS is trying to force us to stay with them. They're trying to if you like, make us koto, as it were. Because if you remember that time, Ramsey, there was a talk about ECOWAS standby force. Because at that point, the thinking within ECOWAS was, we probably can apply force to make these guys stay, or to make not just to make them stay, because we hadn't even come to that point of whether or not they wanted to leave. It was about reinstating the ousted president in Niger in particular, all right, President Bazoum, to say, look, reinstate the president unconditionally, let his family go, blah, 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 blah. And the guy say, look, it's our country. We retain, I mean, it's our prerogative as to how we want this country to be run. So long and short of the story is, the three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic, are now saying that we're done and dusted. We are no longer interested. And they have now formally put in a request to say we are withdrawing membership. And just this weekend, the ECOWAS Commission says, we have acknowledged your request for withdrawal of membership of this regional bloc. So all three countries are going to go. Don't also forget, Ramsey, months before today, all three countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger Republic, had already formed their own fronts, different radically from the from ECOWAS, as we know it. Add to that, the fact that the three countries also have something else in common, which is the fact that they have now severed ties with France. Of course, you and I know how they have asked France to call back their troops. That's the military presence on the ground there in these three countries, particularly in the Niger Republic. They have had to ask French companies to wind up operations because they want to be in charge of their own destiny, as it were, as countries. So one of the lessons the regional bloc should be learning from all of this is, what does it mean for us as West Africans? What does it mean for integration at the sub-regional level, all right? What exactly should we be learning in this case in such a way that we understand how we should provide leadership going forward? We're going to take a quick break now, everyone. When we return, we'll have more papers for you. Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
thank you everyone for staying with us. So the issue of ECOWAS, like I was saying, is still unfolding, quite frankly, because withdrawal of membership is not a signal to a closure. The reason is simple. Nigeria is still neighbors with these countries, particularly Niger Republic, for example. Mali, of course, is there. You have Burkina Faso. In the case of Niger in particular, we've had to go into a certain understanding time and again, especially with regards to insurgency and issues around insecurity generally. All right. So how do we continue to strengthen that front? It's a question we'll have to answer today and every other day.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much for that very intelligent contribution. I think more, in fact, when you were given instance, when you started from the BRICS, I said, well, this is elaborate enough so that the people already know how it is. It's not just peculiar to Nigeria and, of course, ECOWAS alone. All right, just few more headlines from the Daily Times newspaper, and we'll get to the next point of call. This one is to the entertainment scene. Countdown to elegance. That's the kicker. Miss Nigeria 45th edition. Then you have the picture on when the event is going to be happening. You have it right there. Then the last one here says Oba of Benin begins Igwe Festival in surprise move. That's going to be the size of the headlines from the Daily Times newspaper this morning, as we take you to the next paper.
All right, let's turn to the Vanguard newspaper, everyone. We begin with headlines above the nameplate, top left corner first. 3 trillion naira spent on raw materials imports in 2023. That's according to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. Terrorism, that's your kicker for another headline. FG secures conviction of over 200 suspects. That headline is credited to the National Security Advisor. We've exported petrol to Cameroon, Ghana, Angola, South Africa. Dangote Refinery, you can read those details on page 8 of today's issue of the Vanguard newspaper. And then the big story tells us FG overshoots 2024 borrowing targets by 4 trillion naira. What exactly are the implications of this kind of action? Well, we have 5 riders with this particular headline. The first one says borrowing 49% above target on 11th month. May hits 67% at year end. Domestic borrowing hits 8.9 trillion naira. Analysts list impacts on inflation. Others, more borrowing crowds out private sector. That's according to experts. And then you have a picture of the leaders of ECOWAS here, with President Bola Tinubu, the chairman of the commission, being in front, right in the middle of it. All right, what else do we have? Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger have till July 2025 to return to ECOWAS. That's, well, let's say the door is still left open a little, just in case you change your mind sometime, at some point in between, and decide to say, no place like home. All right, and come back. Well, that's what ECOWAS is saying. I think that's fair enough, ultimately. But let's see what the writer says. At Tinubu to ECOWAS leaders, let's learn from Ghana's democratic example. Charity should begin at home and justice from the next door. Nigeria should set that example. After all, will be referred to as the giant of Africa again and again. So it's quite an interesting time we're living. Incidentally, Ghana is a West African nation. And now ECOWAS is comprised of West African countries as well. So Ghana has set example. That's some flagship move there. So what will other countries within this bloc learn from Ghana going forward? Nigeria has, for example, a few more off-cycle elections before 2027. For instance, we know there is Anambra coming up next year. There's Ekiti next year. There is Osun next year. So how will INEC conduct itself? And because of these 3 electoral polls, and then we get to the big one, the grand finale, politically speaking, talking about 2027. So the litmus test will begin with Anambra, and fingers crossed, we hope the outcome will be positive in every sense of the word. Okay, let's go wrap it up quickly now with a few more headlines from the Vanguard newspaper. Both MISAP claims 20 lives in Benue. Ramsey and I talked about that just a while ago. NGE expresses concern over anti-media free speech laws. That's the Nigerian Guild of Editors. They're expressing concern over anti-media free speech laws. There have been concerns around the Cybercrime Acts of 2024. There are people, especially those in the media space, including executives, saying that this piece of legislation will at best hound down those who propagate free speech and things like that. But we'll get a lawyer into the studio real soon to come help us unbundle this conversation from a legal standpoint. All right, let's go wrap it up with some sports headline this morning. Says 2024 CAF African Footballer of the Year, Lookman, the man cap fits. Well, Lookman is becoming some sort of Osimhen in a sense now with regards to these CAF awards. I mean, Ramsey, you are big on sports. I mean, far bigger than I am, because I can't even mention the names of two players in my favorite club. One club I support passively. But what do you think about Lookman, by the way, with regards to CAF awards?
Well, as it is right now, everyone is clamoring for Lookman. But then, someone said something. I had a guest on Sport on Saturday, and he said, well, we have Lookman in everybody's lips, but then who is representing Nigeria in CAF right now? And how is the representative like? Akrimi, we don't know, but then a lot of competitions, but the man whom the CAF fits so much is Lookman, and it will be good. It's not a bad idea. Victor Osimhen is the current African Footballer of the Year. It won't be a bad idea if it is being passed from one Nigeria to the other, because these things are based on performance. If anyone deserves it, it should be given to the person. It doesn't matter whether the current African Footballer of the Year it's a Nigerian or not. I think Lookman has been firing from all cylinders, and of course he deserves it. So we're waiting. It's happening today in Marrakech in Morocco. Let's see how it's going to end today. We're waiting. Well, the expectation is high. The expectation is high.
Obviously. Okay, we leave it there with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Time now to turn quickly to News Direct, which incidentally will be last on the program this morning.
All right, let's quickly look at the News Direct and see what we have from the News Direct this morning, where we have the big story, which is the Star story. I'll start from there. Knox kudos trail Kemi Badenoch's controversial remarks on Nigerian police. Well, I saw that story and I was like, hey, what's happening? How is it happening? So it has gone to this extent. Well, that will form part of our conversation today. So just stay with us and you will be part of that conversation much later. Just one rider to that story. Debate intensifies as Nigerians weigh in on ex-British minister's comment. Details you can find on page 21 of the Nigerian News Direct. Then I have this story. More stories still coming. Serap sues Tinubu over failure to probe alleged missing 57 billion naira in humanitarian affairs ministry. Others details you can find on page 2 of the Nigerian News Direct. Then I also have this one. But then Serap, let's talk about Serap a little bit. Serap is good with suing. But then some persons will tell you, we've not seen anything tangible coming out of all this suing. But it's good. It's good that at least you're letting people know that there is a gray area that needs to be looked at. But then and the issue of the humanitarian affairs ministry, so many things have happened there. But then some persons will ask you, where is Betta Edo as we speak? What has happened? How did that case end? Some people may want to know. Then talking about the 57 billion naira of I think was it 2021 or so? You know, so many things have happened, and
Serap from Betta Edo's
yes, meaning things have been happening with the humanitarian affairs ministry. Well, Serap has sued the president over failure to probe alleged missing money in humanitarian affairs. Are they trying to say, well, maybe the president is in support of what's happening? What are they trying to say?
Well, that's not the point, I suppose. It will suffice to say that Serap is sending a message, amongst other things, to say that, look, you are her principal, or you were her principal, or at least you are the one the Constitution has given the latitude to appoint ministers for all the ministries, including that of humanitarian affairs. Therefore, if anything goes wrong, the buck stops in front of you, stops on your desk. And that's why they are holding the president to account, and they're doing that the standard way, which is legal to do. This is not the first time Serap would be suing the president, any president for that matter, not just President Bola Tinubu. We have seen that happening with President Muhammadu Buhari time and again, and the presidents before that. But amongst other things, we need to understand that Serap is a civil society organization, all right, a watchdog of some kinds that holds government to account, that says, look, this area needs attention. There's a blind spot here. We need to shine the light on it. All right, government is slacking in this area, and something needs to be done as quickly as possible. That's what Serap does. And one way it approaches these issues is by going to court. You asked a very salient question. What exactly has come out of all of this? This litany of litigations. All right, we've seen government take action real time on account of Serap's move to say we're going to court, or we've already gone to court. We have also seen cases where Serap didn't necessarily have to go to court. They just did advocacy. They just called government's attention to some of these very salient issues. But in all of this, what it means is that it's entities like Serap to put it on its toes. Otherwise, government will be caught napping on many issues, including issues that bother our national security.
That's it. That's it. All right, our time is fast spent. We need to go and make way for the news at 8 o'clock. Japan hails Dangote Refinery a wonder of modern technology. Nigeria cleared 19-year backlog owed ECOWAS. Lagos government to commission 5-road network and bridge project. Details of that you can find on page 2. One of the things that is happening to Nigerians right now is the scarcity of Naira. CBN to fine banks releasing Naira notes to hawkers, 150 million Naira. I think they need to do more. We're tired of seeing these things on paper. You see these things and the Naira is still scarce. Nigerians will need to pay as high as 250 Naira to get 5,000 Naira. This money is not there, and you need to pay so much to really get something out of it. All right, the AM News is coming next, and that's going to be after this break. But after the AM News, we'll return for the first session. Do stay with us.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Anthony Momodu. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nikon Sat. President Bola Tinubu urged leaders in West Africa to draw inspiration from Ghana's recent peaceful elections as a model of democratic maturity and commitment to national unity. Tinubu said this at the opening of the 66th Ordinary Session of ECOWAS at the State House Conference Center, Abuja. He applauded President Nana Akufo-Addo and the people of Ghana for the resounding success of their recent presidential and parliamentary elections, setting a high standard for the region. The president stated that he urged everyone in the region to learn from the good democratic practice and put first their country's national unity to ensure political stability of the region so that the manner of peaceful transition becomes the culture of democracy not only in West Africa, but Tinubu explained further that despite the challenges of interrupted democratic governance in some West African countries, the region has continued to record democratic gains. Meanwhile, Nigeria has paid 85 billion naira and $54 million as community levy to the Economic Community of West African States. Omar Toure, president of ECOWAS Commission, disclosed this at the State House, Abuja, during his opening remarks at the 66th Ordinary Session of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS. Toure said the funds represent 100% of the 2023 levy and the level of levy of 2024 up to July 2024. On his part, President Tinubu said the strength of the Commission is in the unity of members, adding that ECOWAS was born out of shared vision to create a community for citizens. The federal government has commenced the construction of a smart divisional police headquarters and 6 residential quarters for rank-and-file officers in Mpape, a community in the Bwari Area Council of Abuja. The initiative is part of ongoing reforms aimed at transforming policing in Nigeria through the integration of modern technology and fostering inclusivity. The Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, represented by the Acting Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Yusuf Abubakar Agungu, performed the groundbreaking ceremony for the project. In a statement, Bolaji Kazim, Deputy Director of Information and Public Relations for the ministry, said the project seeks to address security challenges in Mpape and its surrounding areas, providing a safer environment for residents and businesses. The House of Representatives is considering a bill to alter the 1999 Constitution for the creation of a special account into which all borrowed fund credits and grants to the federal government shall be paid. The bill currently before the Committee on Constitution Review was sponsored by the member representing Darazo Ganjua Federal Constituency, Bauchi State, Mansour Soro. Speaking on the rationale for the bill, Soro said the bill was to encourage greater transparency in the utilization of borrowed funds for dedicating a special account for it and have full disclosure on the utilization of the fund. The lawmakers said having both the IGR and borrowed funds in a single account makes tracking of the funds difficult and less transparent. He said Nigeria needed more transparent and accountable to the people if we cannot effectively track movement and use of funds. Many questions, he says, will be begging for answers. The federal government, through the Ministry of Works, has spent 92 billion naira for the rehabilitation of no fewer than 74 federal roads across 24 states of the Federation. Reports say the ministry had, in October 2023, sought and received approval from the federal government for the quick rehabilitation and intervention of 260 critically failed road projects across the country. Meanwhile, in January 2024, the federal government released 108.5 billion naira out of 217 billion naira set aside for the emergency repairs of the 260 roads in 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. The Nigerian Correctional Service has unveiled advanced security measures, including automated search systems and technology-driven surveillance. This is in a bid to clamp down on contraband smuggling and other criminal activities within the correctional facilities. It will be recalled that the service in 2023 confiscated and destroyed contraband items worth over 150 million naira from custodial centers across the country, and prohibited items were seized through routine cell inspections and proactive measures at the service's headquarters in Abuja. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe, SAN, has stated that the Nigerian judiciary is not as corrupt as it had been portrayed in recent times. Osigwe said the judiciary was also not the most corrupt institution in Nigeria, noting that the perception of corruption had been somewhat exaggerated, stating that reports from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, the National Bureau of Statistics, and the various anti-corruption agencies were without facts. He, however, acknowledged that there were a few bad eggs within the system who were tarnishing the institution's reputation, and emphasized the need for them to rid themselves of corrupt practices. Meanwhile, the Minister of Works, Engineer Dave Umahi, has stressed the importance of providing infrastructure in justice delivery. He noted that infrastructure remains crucial for the stimulation of effective and efficient justice delivery system in every democratic dispensation. Umahi said this in a lecture he delivered during the fourth day of the 2024 Court of Appeal Justices Annual Conference with the theme, "The Importance of Judicial Infrastructure to Adjudication," held in Abuja. In a document by the Minister's Special Advisor, Oji Uchenna Oji, the Minister said improved access to justice system through judicial infrastructure digitalization was an administrative imperative for governance at all levels. He noted that improved access roads, courtrooms, judicial quarters, power supply, and electronic infrastructure will reduce delays in adjudication, promote qualitative and quantitative judicial productivity, and ultimately improve justice delivery system. Many persons, mostly women and children, are feared dead in a boat accident on River Benue near Ocholenya in Agatu local government area of Benue State. The victims were reportedly returning to Doma in Nasarawa State after attending a market in Ocholenya village on Saturday when their wooden boat capsized. A resident of the area, identified simply as Adani, spoke to journalists in Makurdi about the incident. The chairman of Agatu local government area, Melvin James, confirmed the incident, adding that efforts are on the way to coordinate with Nasarawa state officials to console the affected families. The United Nations says African continent has demonstrated commitment to promoting gender equality and the empowerment of women, with all countries on the continent ratifying the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Efe Okala, founder, Impart-Her, a non-profit organization that is bridging the African female entrepreneurship financing gap, spoke exclusively to Global Television about these issues. Uyabomo Fuegbe now tells us more.
Driven by her passion to see African women thrive in business, especially in the area of financing, Ukala says a lot is changing regarding women-specific endeavors in Africa.
What is changing is growing the market, helping African women grow the market, helping them access to markets that they didn't originally have access to, which is contributing to that scalability. The grandmother who would make 10 dresses in 2 weeks, now we have women that can make 100 pieces of shirts in a day. So it's really giving them that resources and putting the money in their hands to allow them to do so.
On the issue of girl-child education, she believes there is tremendous amount of work that needs to be done by government.
The government needs to keep investing in understanding the why, right? Like, why do we have this much women still out of school? Is this, and I use the word investing because I feel like it's going to be deep research, right? We can't just assume what the problem is. So the government has to invest in that quest to find the answers of the why. Why are women out of school? Is this a situation where the parents feel that they would be more useful at home to help them with chores? Is there a way to negotiate with communities to say, allow your daughter to come out for school between these hours to these hours, and don't worry, we would subsidize that price for that land for you. I raised that model because I believe I saw that in Mozambique. I was in Mozambique a few years ago.
At the turn of the 21st century, however, statistics have shown that domestic violence is one of the biggest challenges women face on the continent. Uyi Agmofwegbe, reporting for Global Television News.
The Apex Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization, Ohanaeze Ndi Igbo Worldwide, has announced the appointment of Fidelis Chukwu as its new President General, according to a statement by the group's National Publicity Secretary, Alex Ubonia. Chukwu is to complete the Imo State tenure, which ends on January 10, 2025, following the death of two previous leaders of the organization. Also in the news, the senator representing Delta North Senatorial District at the National Assembly, Ned Nwoko, has called for unity among the Igbo extraction as a significant move to address pressing issues within the Igbo community. Senator Nwoko made the call at the 2024 Otu Oka Iru Week event held in Abuja and tagged strengthening Igbo unity, the quest for the creation of a new state in the southeast. In a statement by his media consultant, Mike Oga Gabriel, Senator Nwoko stressed the imperativeness of unity among the Igbo people, urging them to come together to achieve their collective social, economic, and political aspirations. You're watching AM News on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. When AM News returns, cyclone kills 14 people in France. Details of these as well as business and sports stories coming right after this break. Please stay with us. Welcome back from the break. In business, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria has sought a reduction in the price of petrol across the country. The group urged the Dangote refinery to consider reducing its ex-depot price from 970 naira per litre, since the estimated cost of landing petrol on Nigeria's shores has dropped to 900 naira 28 kobo per litre. Recall that President Bola Tinubu had, during a Federal Executive Council meeting on July 29, proposed the sale of crude to local refineries in Naira, and the meeting adopted the proposal by Tinubu to sell crude to Dangote and other refineries in local currency. FERC approved that the 450,000 barrels meant for domestic consumption be offered in Naira to Nigerian refineries, using the Dangote refinery as a pilot. The federal government, through the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, has announced plans to convert 100,000 vehicles to compressed natural gas within 18 months. Smeden said the initiative, which is in collaboration with the Presidential Committee on the Compressed Natural Gas Initiative and Rolling Energy, was focused on reducing cost of small and medium enterprises while supporting Nigeria's transition to cleaner energy. The Director General of Smeden, Charles Odi, in a statement said a center created by the agency and the firm would convert at least 10% of the 1 million CNG vehicles mandated by President Bola Tinubu to hit Nigerian roads by 2027. According to Odi, the center would convert 9 vehicles daily, adding that it was also designed to train young Nigerians in CNG conversion, maintenance, and repair, thereby creating new entrepreneurial opportunities. Vice President Kashim Shettima says there is no way Nigeria can dream of meaningful economic development without addressing the power sector crisis and ensuring the country has access to electricity and other affordable energy. Shettima made the statement when he inaugurated the National Economic Council Ad Hoc Committee on National Electrification and the Council's Ad Hoc Committee on Polio Eradication at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He urged leaders in the country to rise above differences to confront the power sector crisis and become part of the reincarnation of Nigeria as an industrialized nation. Nigeria's Oriental Energy Resources Limited has unveiled a $315 million floating production, storage, and offloading vessel to boost Nigeria's oil production capacity. The FPSO vessel, with a storage capacity of 1 million barrels, which will kick off within an initial production of 17,000 barrels per day before increasing its production capacity to 30,000 barrels per day, is expected to depart for Nigeria in the first quarter of 2025 and commence production at the Okwok oil field in the first half of 2025. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who represented President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the commissioning and naming ceremony of the vessel, described the facility as more than just a maritime infrastructure project, saying it is a pointer to the success of President Tinubu's reforms in the sector as well as Nigeria's growing global influence. On the following scene, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has called the impeachment of South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol a sign of democratic resilience and pledge to work with Seoul's new leadership. Blinken, speaking to newsmen in Jordan, said he thinks the most important thing is that the Republic of Korea demonstrated democratic resilience. He added that the world has seen South Korea follow peacefully a process laid out in its constitution. Hence, the U.S. is ready to work with President Han Duck-soo as he assumes office, taking over as interim leader. Cyclone Chido has claimed at least 14 lives on the French Indian Ocean island territory of Mayotte. A security source stated this in an updated provisional toll. The storm, now heading towards the coast of Mozambique, swept through Mayotte's shanty towns, leaving widespread devastation. Meanwhile, French Interior Minister Bruno Retailleau has warned that the final death toll could be significantly higher. Cyclone Chido, also referred to as Chido 25, is a tropical cyclone currently being monitored in the southern Indian Ocean, which has triggered significant alerts due to its potential impact on coastal regions. And jumping into the world of sport, Crystal Palace severed a first win over rivals Brighton since 2021 as a 3-1 victory on Sunday lifted the Eagles 4 points clear of the relegation zone. Ismail Sarr teed up a Trevor Chalobah for the opening goal before scoring twice himself to secure Palace's first success over the Seagulls in 7 games. Brighton could have gone level with Manchester City in 5th but have now failed to win in their last 4 games to slip down to 9th. Palace are unbeaten in 5 as they begin to match up the table after a disappointing start to the campaign. Mikel Arteta has praised his unbelievable Arsenal team despite their frustrating 0-0 draw against Everton on a day when Premier League leaders Liverpool dropped points. A week after they failed to win at the Fulham, Arsenal could again manage just 1 point as Sean Dyche's side held on for a goalless draw at the Emirates on Saturday. Mikel Arteta's side remained 6 points behind Liverpool, having played a game more, with 10-man Reds twice coming from behind in a 2-2 draw at Anfield. The Gunners, Premier League runners-up for the past 2 seasons, are also a point behind Chelsea. Arsenal enjoyed 76% of possession and a total of 13 shots, but could not find the breakthrough against an Everton side that defended resolutely and had only 2 shots in the entire game. And that's how we call it a wrap on the Global AM News. I am Anthony Momodio. Good morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily. while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
And at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
It's a very wonderful time. Global Television is still on, and it is Global Morning right here. Welcome back from the AM News. It's now time for the first discussion for today. Now, so many things happening. Someone said, well, Nigerians are not thinking about 2027 yet, but it will amaze you that the politicians, the game players, the actors have started thinking about 2027 even before 2023 election was being won. And you've seen things played out, so many things happening from the various parties, speculations. There was a time that people speculated that someone in Nigeria here was going to offseat the present administration, and the person said, no, I'm not calling names anyway. The person said, no, nothing like that. But sometimes you hear these things and you feel it's all a mind game. As a matter of fact, we and I will be talking about this a little bit as we have our guests join us. Our guest is supposed to join us live in the studio here, but he's been held for some reasons, and as soon as he comes, we will let him in on the conversation. But then, let's get to talk about 2027 right now. Well, people before now, it's been, all right, merger. There's going to be a merger, some parties coming together like the Labour Party, the People's Democratic Party, the NNPP and other parties. And people were asking questions. Even if there is a merger, who are they going to front? Because there are various actors in these different parties. We have the Atiku of PDP, we have Kwankwaso of NNPP, and we have Peter Obi in Labour Party. But then, there is something we mustn't forget, and that's the fact that in all of these parties, even though the ruling party is not exclusive, because we have some states where there are internal crises too. How is it going to be possible for them to form a merger? But then, talking about merger now is one thing. Then, for a particular party to unanimously agree on a particular candidate is another thing. So I'll be talking about that this morning. 2027, like a joke, if you think it's far, it's not far anymore. And the game players who know how these things are being done have already started, should I call it permutations, or maybe consultations, as the case may be. We're talking in the papers, we're talking about the visit, the Duke and co-visit. And you begin to think a lot of things, because whatever happens now, a lot of people will attribute it to 2027, even though it may not be. But then the People's Democratic Party, you know, some persons, someone said something. He said the People's Democratic Party are not given APC a run for their money the way he feel, according to him, because of the internal crisis that they are having. But then there is this news that came up that in 2027 there is this likelihood that PDP are already in consultation with the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the person of His Excellency Goodluck Ebele Jonathan to be the candidate, all right, for the presidential race. That's for the People's Democratic Party in 2027. And you remember there was a video that made round where the wife of the former president was saying, no, she doesn't want anything. She will not want anything that will take her back to Aso Rock. But then you know how these things play out. If it happens, it has happened. So I don't know what's your school of thought. Can we say all of this is just a game of distraction?
I don't think this is all a game of distraction, really. Politics will be politics and politicians remain politicians. Now, let's backtrack a little for a second, Ramsey. In the build-up to the 2023 general election, we had also seen talk here and there. We heard talk here and there. There was the narrative that the former president who left office in 2015, having conceded defeat to his predecessor, as he now is, Muhammadu Buhari, also had been touted to be one who the APC, interestingly, was going to adopt to fly its flag going into the 2023 presidential election. But of course, that didn't happen. As a matter of fact, at that time, we had seen different groups go to meet Dr. Goodluck Jonathan to say, look, we want you to run. We think you have the, for want of better words, magic wand to turn this country around, across sectors and all that. And the man was very unequivocal, saying that he was not going to run. Of course, we know how he turned out. In the end, he was candidate Bola Tinubu, now President Bola Tinubu, on the platform of the APC, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar on the platform of the PDP. So all of those have been overtaken by events. Now, fast forward to where we are today, 2024, winding down, and then that conversation is back to the fore. Now, just for perspective, Ibrahim Abdullahi is the deputy spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party, a party that has been referred to by many as the leading opposition party. Now, he said he had granted an interview. Actually, he had granted an interview to BBC Hausa, where he did talk about how that, for those who say the former president would be running on the platform of the PDP in 2027. Now look, the man has the right to run. He's a Nigerian. The constitution gives him that right, even if he decides not to run on the platform of the PDP. The important thing ultimately is that he can vie for that office. After all, he had only done one term. So he still has the right to run for office again for a second and, of course, final term. But you see, it's easy for things to spiral out of context in this country, particularly with social media and all of those who are just pushing fake news and misinformation and what have you. But let's come down to what it is, because ultimately the question is, will former President Goodluck Jonathan run in 2027? Of course, Ramsey and I can answer that. We are not politicians, at least we are not partisan. We are not members of any of these political parties, and we can't read the mind of the former president talking about Dr. Jonathan. What we do know for a fact is Nigerians have not moved past the time of the former president in office. And if you will, we could have him run. I mean, for many people, we could have him run again. But have the dynamics not changed since the former president left office? This has been 9 years and counting. All right? Are things still the same? Are the circumstances today the same as what we had when he was there? That's number one question. The second question is, even if the PDP, I'm saying with a big if, the PDP were to go to his house to say, look, we have come to appeal to you to run using our platform, our resources, for example, will Dr. Jonathan be interested? All right, that's very important. In any case, why Dr. Jonathan? Don't we have other brilliant, resourceful, intelligent, and, leaders who can take initiative, who understand where Nigeria is at this point, who can also provide leadership, who may not be very popular right now, who may not even be, as it were, in everybody's face. You see, we must continue to ask ourselves, are these people all we've got? Why the song around Jonathan? All right, see, this is without prejudice. really, to anybody, including the former president. But it's a way of saying that in a country where we're told we are well over 200 million, for example, and you have people who have found accomplishments across various fields of endeavor, home and abroad, for example, why do we drill down to one man, Goodluck Jonathan? I mean, this is food for thought. We need to think about that for a second. Because in any case, if the man wakes up tomorrow and says he's never going to run for public office again, does that mean we're stuck? Does that mean we've reached a dead end? You see, we must continue to probe all of this. Because in the end, when we say Nigeria is a blessed country, it's not just in theory. It's not just that we are mouthing it. It is what it is. Nigeria is a blessed country. In terms of not just oil and gas or, crude, not just minerals, not just agriculture, but with the human beings that you have in this country, whether they are resident here or they are working and pursuing various endeavors abroad. So whether or not President Jonathan is going to run shouldn't even be our focus. It should be how do we get out of where we are right now? Because Nigeria should also think beyond political parties. No country really has ever achieved anything of worth because of a political party. It's on account of the quality of the thinking of those who have been saddled with the responsibility to provide leadership. How much do they even understand the issues in the first instance? How much of sincerity or purpose are they bringing to bear in that role, whether as local government chairman, members of local assembly, legislative assembly, as governors, president, ministers, federal legislators, or what have you. Even for the lady who has responsibility to provide leadership in a private space, private organization, small consulting firm. What difference are you making there? So the hula baloo, as I'd like to call it, around former President Goodluck Jonathan is totally unnecessary.
All right, I think I like that one. The hula baloo around the former president is totally unnecessary. This is a perspective to the whole story. I think even the People's Democratic Party, after that news made round, came out to deny the fact that they are trying to front the former president. But then I think you made one very salient point. You made a whole lot of points from what you said. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is that people think, well, if this country must be good, it should just be the president. It's possible to have a good president, but what about the other people? We're talking about a system here. One person does not make a system. A system comprises of a whole lot of other persons, and people make these systems to work. If we are looking at just one individual, and there is something we said that is very vital. What happens if all eyes and all attention is on this individual, and the individual said, okay, I'm not interested? Does it mean the people will be stranded? Don't we have people in the past? See, there is this belief that a lot of people have. They feel, well, when this person was in the office, this happened. They don't know that times and season changes. Things may have changed. The economy is not the way it used to be when he was on seat. Then one or two things must have played out. Then you come to talk about the other people that he would be working with. Only one person cannot make all these things happen. Then I think Nigeria has come to a level where we need to look inwards. We need to look at what we've got. Don't be surprised that Nigerians travel out and they are given very sensitive positions, to handle, even though they are not from that country, but maybe because they are citizens and they've made a mark in that area, they are being given very sensitive political positions to hold, or maybe offices, to man. But then coming back home, people feel, well, this person has not been a governor before. This person has not even been a local government chairman. Why should we try the person at the presidency or whatever? The person should. But then what about other areas where the person is good? What do you think the person has done that merited that person to be chosen? But I think this thing is not even all about one party. If a particular set of people wants Jonathan, what about the other factions? I think what these parties should even be looking at right now, I feel, the disconnect, okay, within the party, because if you want, for instance, you want a particular person to be fronted, and I want a different person, like some people are singing the praises of Jonathan right now. Don't be surprised that some persons in that party may not even want him at all. So I feel, what do you think? Putting the party first, okay, putting the house in order first, okay, before we talk about candidacy, and picking someone before we think about putting the house in order. Which do you feel should come first, and why do you think so?
Okay, maybe we'll begin from here, Ramsey. So a while ago, I mentioned how that, I just made an allusion to the fact that the PDP is supposedly, I use that word advisedly, the leading opposition party in Nigeria, right? But you see, there have also been questions the last 9 years as to whether the PDP has been effective or otherwise in playing the role of the opposition. You see, the PDP is a house in disarray right now. That much is obvious. The entire story is in public space, so it's not something we're just cooking up on the program this morning. Now, what's the point? The point here is the PDP, for many people, never really prepared or got ready, as it were, for this role of playing the opposition and then leading other opposition parties. In all, there are those who strongly believe that the ACN becoming the AC becoming the ACN and now the APC had done far better in playing the opposition, all right, than the PDP is doing now. Virtually 1 decade down the line, right? You see, a chieftain of the APC was talking in Enugu this weekend, right? He said, look, the PDP needs to realize that the APC is not doing anything worse than the PDP had done in the past. This may be paraphrasing. But there was a point he made which I find very incisive, which the PDP should also find some humility, all right, to go back home to reflect on, to chew on, as they say, where he said that the People's Democratic Party, particularly at the leadership level, needs to have what he calls GRIT, G-R-I-T. Now, what's GRIT? GRIT is basically a combination of passion and perseverance, all right? I think that should sink in for every politician in the PDP, really, whether you just joined the party yesterday or you've been there for, since 1998, for example. Because, you see, it's not enough to be in a hurry to want to get back power, or as they say, recapture power. No. You must get your house in order. You must have the structure. You must have the system. You must have the thinking, the ideology. I've met people from both sides of the divide, PDP, APC, and I randomly asked them. These are two gentlemen I've met over time. What exactly is the ideology of your party? Like I said, I've asked that question to both a member of the APC and a member of the PDP. At best, they have to scratch their head to put it together. All right. Now, where that's the case, it means that even the political parties are not clear on their ideology. And that's why you realize that even established politicians, including those who have been governors and senators and what have you, will tell you that, look, there's no difference between the APC and the PDP. Because the people who were here yesterday are the ones here today. The ones who are there today are the ones who are going to be here tomorrow. So there's no clear-cut ideology to say that this is what we believe, these are convictions, these are the principles upon which we are going to pursue healthcare for the people, affordable healthcare, that is, housing for Nigerians, drive infrastructure developments, fix the economy, and just move the country from point A to point B. So the PDP, in essence, has more of internal work to do than being out there at the market square pursuing recapture power.
Well, more to be done for the People's Democratic Party beyond just thinking about fronting someone in 2027. Well, something is happening. We're talking about PDP now because of the issue of Jonathan. But what about other parties? The Labour Party, for instance, where, in fact, the people you don't expect at all at the campaign. And one thing that someone said, while I remember while we're looking at the papers, we're talking about the fact that the chairman of ECOWAS, the president of Nigeria, addressing the leaders in ECOWAS, and he was telling them to take cue from the Ghana election. And that's went down with me, that sunk deep down with me, and I was forced to ask questions internally. I was asking myself, I was all alone, and I was asking questions. All right, the issue of cross-carpeting, moving from one party to the other, like we just said, if you ask some persons, what's the ideology of your party? They don't know. I'm talking about card-carrying members of these parties. They don't even know the ideology. All they know is that fight tooth and nail to make sure your candidate gets there, because you will be given a position where you can have 1 or 2 naira to flow through your direction. That's what some persons know. And you see people doing the unthinkable when it comes to politics, which is not supposed to be. When you know an ideology, all right, you know the ideology, the vision, what your party stands for, then you will know what you are fighting for. But as it is right now, you see people moving from one party to the other. He just said something too while he was talking at that. Some persons will tell you there's no difference between the APC and the PDP because there is no clear-cut knowledge of what they really stand for as it has to do with their ideologies. What's the purpose? What's the definition? What are you running after? The same people you see here today, same people you see in the other party. What exactly has changed? Are we still recycling the same people? I don't know. You do the same thing the same way and you want to get a different result. It seems to be difficult most times. Now, let's look at the issue of moving from one party to the other for whatever reasons. Because one of the things, okay, that from my research so far happened in Ghana is that there were no records of people moving from one party to the other because they feel, well, I didn't get this position here, I need to move. I know of a state in Nigeria here where somebody was in a different party, even after the primaries, because he wasn't given the ticket. He had to move from that party to another party, and he was given the ticket, and I don't know how it happened. Maybe because the person was a sitting governor, the person won that seat, okay, became a governor again in that state, as the case may be. These are some of the things we should look at. Politics in Nigeria, beyond candidacy, what would you have to say about cross-carpeting, recycling the same people, moving? Sometimes they tell you the reason why they are even the campaign. Right. You laugh. It's laughable. If they tell you the reason, sometimes it's laughable. So it's a thin line right here. A lot of people are looking at, because there is a problem obviously right now, but what people are looking at is even far from what the problem is, because there are some problems that you need to tackle. It is these problems coming together, too much of it. Okay, when it becomes too much, you see it escalate and we begin to have internal crisis. And these parties, like you said, like APC gave PDP a run for their money, the opposition is not strong this time, and it speaks volume. It's a whole lot of message for 2027. So what would you have to say about the issue of the campaign? The same people, there are people in Nigeria now that have been members of 3 parties, as the case may be. Move from this one to this one, move from this one to this one, if not even more. Right. So how do we address that situation?
It's quite an interesting one. You were talking about the governor a while ago, even though you didn't mention the name of the governor. But we know of an example. You see, Nigerian politics is very interesting. Some people say it's murky, but I don't want to use that word. I'd rather say it's interesting. Interesting on many levels. I'll give you an example real quick. So this is 2020, for instance, 4 years ago. Former governor who just left office, Governor Obaseki in Edo State, was having issues with the leadership of his party, particularly with the former chairman of the APC, that's Adams Oshomole, who had also been the former governor in the state. Long and short of the story is, there was now the issue of, will Obaseki be given the tickets of the APC, or will he have to look for an alternative, more like a contingency? Some person said, yes, that was going to be possible. Others said it was going to be a long walk to freedom, as they say. But we also understand that by the time the APC had done its own due process and what have you, Obaseki, of course, was not given the tickets. And then the PDP that had tactically shifted or delayed its own primaries eventually became generous, so to speak, to Obaseki and then gave him that ticket. That was in 2020. Then elections came, he won the re-election, and the rest is history. Now, for many people, that was a matter of expediency. It was a matter of necessity. I mean, what do you expect from the gentleman? Should he have allowed his political ambition to die? No, he had to fight for his political survival, which he succeeded at. But we've also seen people who move from one party to another. They tell you, well, the party no longer represents what they had expected. The party's position is no longer in alignment with their personal conviction or persuasion and things like that. Like you said, all the excuses in the world. All right, we've seen people who have moved from parties multiple times in 1 year. Some of them within one election cycle, they've moved again and again. They've been back and forth to parties again and again. Yes, the Constitution gives you the right of association, freedom of association, so you can associate with any party you like. Well, the Constitution also says that you can leave, provides for you to leave a political party if there is a conflict within that party that will do very significant damage and things like that. But most times what we find is Nigerian politicians leave political parties. They move from one party to another for frivolous reasons, all the frivolous reasons in the world, which raises questions about ideology and conviction. We also know, for example, there are people who have been in the same party since they joined partisan politics. They've been there. There are people who have been in the PDP, for example, since 98, 99. They've been in the People's Democratic Party. There are people who have been with the APC right from the days when it was AD. All right, because we need to also take into cognizance the evolution of these political parties. It is only the PDP that has really not evolved in terms of name changing and all of that. Even though at the point where we now had the NPDP, that's the new PDP. Later we had a reformed PDP and things like that. But we have seen evolution in parties. We have seen people who have been very loyal to their parties. They've been there, they've been consistent. They've had issues with their parties, they've had internal crises, but they remain there. In all, this conversation is not about political parties or your partisan affiliation. It's about how you leverage your political ideology, your conviction as a political party to drive change, to change the narrative for the better in Nigeria. If you have been in a party for 20 years, 25 years, and we are not seeing that much impact or value from you, then it comes to nothing. All right, so when we're joining political parties or when we set up political parties, what exactly do we have in mind? What exactly do we want to achieve? These are the questions that should inform why we join political parties and which political parties in particular we're joining.
All right, well, that is timely and of course that is informative and educative. We'll go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll get into the second conversation for today, as we'll have our guests join us via Zoom all the way from Ibadan. Let's talk a little bit about the remarks that have come from Kemi, and of course so many reactions coming from some Nigerians too. But then all this will form part of our conversations. We and I will be here as we speak with our guests, and that will be after this break.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
And at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back. It is still Global Morning, and this is the second discussion. We told you that on return, we'll go into the discussion proper. We already laid a foundation. We're talking about the remarks and the remarks that came from the Conservative Party chairman, and of course, the remarks, the criticism from Nigerians too. Well, I'm talking about Kemi Badenoch, and she has said so many things, and Nigerians are not comfortable with it. Even the vice president had to reply, and a lot of Nigerians are criticizing her statement. Some people are even in doubt if she's truly a Nigerian. And she has come out to say, well, I am a Yoruba person, and not a Nigerian per se, but then you can't be a Yoruba person without being a Nigerian. And he also talked about the Nigerian police force, where she said instead of the Nigerian police force protecting the citizens of Nigeria, they are rather stealing from the citizens. So many controversies in the air, and some persons where she had to say she doesn't have anything to do with the Northerners, and you know that brings in a lot of tribal segregation and disunity in the country if it is not properly tackled. I have my guest joining me all the way from Ibadan. He will be joining us talking about Femi Adeyeye. He is, of course, someone that is a civil society organization oriented, and he will be joining us today. And it will also interest you to know that Femi has a long-standing experience as it has to do with issues like this one that we're talking about today. And he's going to be joining us all the way from the city of Ibadan. It's good to have you on the program this morning, Femi.
Thank you very much. I thought you wanted to say the city of brown robes, and you would not be incorrect by saying that.
That's exactly what it is. It's good to have you on the program this morning. Let's quickly look at the topic for discussion for the day. How did you feel, getting to know about the whole Kemi Badenoch's drama?
Yeah, I think the first port of call is for Nigerians to prioritize what should be the issues right now. I used to say it that Nigerians, we so much major on minor things and we minor on major things. Kemi Badenoch's comments, I don't think that should be what anybody should be breaking the ceiling over. She has the right to her opinions. She has the right to share those opinions, and even as a political leader in another climb. So when people are, beating themselves over the opinion of someone who, in fact, she has a better link with the ruling class in Nigeria than many of those persons who have now turned themselves to political analysts on TV, trying to analyze what somebody has said about Nigeria, or does she have the right, the moral right, the moral authority to say these things and all of that. I don't think anybody should. We have bigger issues, in the country that we should be grappling with, and the only problem we have is that our leaders or rulers, let me use it very clearly, they always lose opportunities to correct wrongs. These opinions, these comments coming from Kemi should have been, it's another opportunity for the rulers of Nigeria to have an introspection within themselves, to see what we have been saying all this while. If you're not going to listen to a Femi Adeyeye, I think you should be able to listen to a Conservative Party leader in the UK who has, a Nigerian, who's of the Nigerian descent, as telling you that you have not fixed your country all these years, that she was here at a particular time, she experienced this, that, and that, she experienced police brutality, she experienced corruption, she experienced economic downturn. And instead of you to pick some of these, issues and then make success your revenge, all you're doing is to attack the person who is delivering a message the way she wants to deliver it. This is not a total, and I don't think anybody should misconstrue this as a total thumbs up to what Kemi Badenoch is saying. But I'm saying we must not lose this opportunity as a people, both as analysts, everybody, and even the government of today. We must not lose this opportunity to introspect. We must not lose this opportunity. We've lost a lot of opportunities in the past where comments like this come from different parts of the world, even from Nigerians themselves. You understand? Nigeria is a place where Nigerians are succeeding everywhere else than Nigeria. And that's a problem. We have Nigerians who are doing very well in the UK, who are doing very well in the US. I think, was it the president of the US at some point, was it Obama, who said if you take out 25% of doctors, who are Nigerians from the US healthcare system, that the system is going to collapse in 24 hours. What does that tell you? It tells you that Nigerians are succeeding elsewhere, but they are not succeeding in Nigeria. And I think this should be a call for sober reflection for the Nigerian rulers to see what we've been saying all this while, to hear it from another person's mouth and see how we can salvage this situation instead of going after the messenger, trying to, we're just wasting time, sincerely, and we don't have that time.
All right. Thank you. I think from your own standpoint, you're trying to say, well, whatever it is she's saying doesn't really matter so much compared to what we have on brand. But then, what would you have to say? Somebody of her caliber, in the United Kingdom, a leader of a very known party, making this statement, and these statements are not statements made in the bedroom as a matter of fact. When you say you don't have anything to do with the North, or you begin to maybe call names, referring to the North, calling the Northerners what they are not, and you begin to say, well, you are a Yoruba person and not in Nigeria. When Nigeria is a country, you are from Nigeria as a matter of fact, and what people expect from you, because what Nigerians are expecting from her, there was jubilation when she was made the leader of the Conservative Party, as a matter of fact. But now Nigerians were feeling anything that happened, whatever that should come from her, should be things that will at least build relationship between Nigeria and other countries.
I lost you. I can't hear you anymore.
Global Morning is your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues,
and at the same time keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
This is Global Morning.
Welcome back from that break. As a matter of fact, we still have Femi online, and we're talking about the statement that has come from the leader of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, talking about Kemi Badenoch. He has said whatever happens shouldn't create the kind of atmosphere it's creating. But now, Femi, I don't know, can you hear me now, Femi?
Clearly.
Right. I was trying to say, well, as
Yes.
a Nigerian, even though she said she is more of a Yoruba person than a Nigeria, but I don't know how Yoruba anyone can be without being a Nigerian. I don't know where the tribe Yoruba is. And that's where some persons are saying this statement could cause segregation. But that's by the way. But then, someone of her caliber, don't you think Nigerians will expect her to do things that will promote Nigeria as a nation instead of statements that will disdain or humiliate Nigeria as a country or put Nigeria in a bad light on the global map, as the case may be?
You see, I had the question to a particular point before the break. And so two things. Number one is that we do not need Kemi Badenoch before we understand that there is Boko Haram in Nigeria. Let's stop deceiving ourselves as Nigerians. We do not need a Kemi Badenoch to tell us before we know that there is police brutality. We do not need a Kemi Badenoch to tell us before we know that there is corruption. We do not need a Kemi Badenoch before we know that our rulers are very corrupt people. And most of the proceeds of their corruption are even sent to Kemi Badenoch's present country, the UK, because it is actually the UK that helps you to keep, that helps them to keep some of these proceeds of their corruption. They buy pricey houses in those places and all of that. So the UK is as complicit as even the country where the corruption is coming from. We need to understand that, first of all, that we don't need, it is not Kemi Badenoch that would tell us what is actually happening to us. I don't know what we do that thing so much in this part of the world, and I think it's actually part of it's the remnants of neo-colonial mentality, where people in this country would say things, but they will not be taken seriously. But when there is somebody outside the country, you know, maybe black, white, most especially white people, we start, you know, there's some kind of entropy in the political system already, disorderliness, that somebody has said something about us, we don't want the person to denigrate Nigeria and all of that. That's not our problem. That is not our problem. Another thing we must understand is the ideological leaning of Kemi Badenoch herself. This is the leader of a conservative party. So what do you expect from the party leader of a conservative party, if not conservatism? And what is conservatism? It is you making sure that you conserve, let me use that in my definition, to conserve the ideals, what they call the norms, the tradition of that society. So that either in the UK or even in Nigeria, whatever she wants to conserve, whatever she wants to talk about would be about the interests of some kind of ethno, and so in some cases, ethno-religious, demography. That is what the ideology. It is here that we don't have ideological leaning, and that is why you can't understand any of our politicians. But in places, especially in this, all this part of Europe, they are very ideological people, and when they stand by a particular ideological leaning, they follow it through. And I want to say this again: this is not an endorsement of the message of Kemi Badenoch, but I don't think that should be the reason why we are eating the roof. That should not. It is a time for us to have some form of reintrospection. Our leaders should sit at this time and understand that we are running out of time. There is no time again. Everything she has said. We can discuss this. Is there something she has said that is wrong? That is not the fact. Is there something she has said that is a lie? She mentioned something about police stealing brothers' shoes and this thing. It has happened to me too. People went on Twitter and started, recounting some of the stories they've had with the police. Are we now going to lie to ourselves because we want to sound good to the world when there is problem in the house? That's part of our problem in this country. We want to hide our problems, and that is why we will not solve them. The first thing is towards solving the problem is to first of all accept within yourself that there is a problem. You must first accept that there is a problem, understand the problem, and that's when you can solve it. So going after Kemi Badenoch now, I don't think it's making sense. Anybody who is doing that, I see that person as not understanding the issues at all. This is someone who is in fact amplifying the problems to the world, so that our rulers can sit up. That nobody is going to take all this nonsense you are doing. They're not going to take it for too long. Mind you, the UK also sponsors a lot of programs in Nigeria, developmental programs, including sponsoring the police that she's talking about. So if they can send their money to you, if they can give you loans, but you don't want them to talk about your problems, you are not a serious person. And I don't think I'll be part of such arrangements. We should be serious, and we should take some of these issues seriously and not attack the person who is saying those things.
All right. Thank you, Femi. Well, I think some of the things Nigerians are saying is the manner in which these things are being said, because the Nigerians feel there is a problem on ground. And somebody of that magnitude, instead of profiling solution, looking at her position, is like trying to recount what everybody already know. And these things didn't happen until recently that she was made the leader of the Conservative Party. Nigerians are not denying the fact that these things are happening in Nigeria, but what Nigerians were expecting, okay, is different from what they get. Like you said just now, the United Kingdom have a lot of developmental projects in Nigeria, but then putting Nigeria in a bad light, spelling it out the more. No, there is no doubt about the fact that Nigerians, the leadership, because she actually talked about corruption and she talked about the police and some other things that has to do with ethnicity. But now, don't you think if it were in a situation where she made statements that like trying to recommend solutions, all right, to the problems that we have, giving Nigerians hope, there's something we need to understand here, that there are people, Nigerians, who are vulnerable to these situations, who are thinking that one day succor will come from somewhere that they don't know. Having somebody like Kemi Badenoch, okay, trying to use her position to help the vulnerable Nigerians instead of going to count the bad things that are happening in Nigeria. What do you make of this?
Trying to make and I don't want this to be a back and forth around, oh, maybe there's a way she should have said it. We do this thing so much in this country, and you do it so much to even activists. When we say things happening in the country, you say, oh, there's a particular way you should have said it. You shouldn't have said it this way. There's a way. How exactly do you want her to say it? She should say it's prostrating. She should say it's lying down, begging these people that she meets every day of her lives, and she knows that they are useless people. I mean, the rulers of Nigeria. I'm not coming here to sugarcoat anything here. Someone is saying something and she's saying it, and there is nothing she has said that is a lie. If there is a lie, I think the people who are the spokesperson of the president should release, the truth. It is not our own duty as advocates or as activists to start twisting or trying to tell her that there's a better way she should have said it. There are some things she should have said. She should have not talked about the problem. She should not talk about the solution and all of that. We try to tele-guide freedom of speech. That is what we do in this world, in this part of the world. Try to tele-guide how people should talk. Oh, she's a person of influence. Look at what this same thing happened to Davido. And this was not even before Kemi Badenoch. The same thing happened to Davido. And it was like, oh, you are going out there to demarcate the country. You see, let me say this so that the people who need to hear this should hear this. You cannot wish patriotism on the people. You cannot speak patriotism. You cannot wish it into the air. People must believe in the system. People must benefit from a system before they become patriotic. If you like, change the national anthem 20,000 times. If people do not see the effect of good governance in their lives, they cannot be patriotic. So all these things people go around to say, oh, don't demarket Nigeria and keep it. Do you think what Davido said about the climate, the business climate in Nigeria not being favorable for businesses and all of that? Do you think businessmen actually need a Davido to tell them in this age of technology? They don't need a Davido to tell them that the business climate in Nigeria is not doing well. They have data already of what is happening. They know the number of companies that have come into the country and have wound up. They know those who are already on their way out. So they don't need a Davido or a Kemi Badenoch comments because they are people of influence before they know what they want to do. So let us stop this blame game, trying to say, oh, somebody is not being patriotic enough, she should help us so that we'll use our position to look for solutions. So she can talk about solutions, but she cannot talk about problems. Let's get serious. Let's get serious as a people. If anybody is speaking, allow the person speak, and not start teleguiding what the person should have said or what the person should not say. It does not help us as a country. So it's both people right here in Nigeria and those outside Nigeria should be free to say what they want to say about the situation of the country. And the rulers of Nigeria should understand and take a stand against all these things that they are saying, and not start attacking and start dictating to people how they should say things just because you feel they are, people of influence. What about protesters who go on to protest and you pick them up, you throw them into prisons across the country? As we speak right now, there are still end bad governance protesters who are languishing in prisons in this country. We are not talking about them. And what did they protest about? They protested about all the things that Kemi Badenoch spoke about. But because it is Kemi Badenoch, everybody wants to go after her. But the ordinary and the average Nigerian who is saying the same thing Kemi is saying, you throw such a person into prison. That means even if Kemi Badenoch was just an average person, you would have, oppressed that too. You would have suppressed that voice. And that is what we are doing. And I think the media is also complicit in this. And we should retrace our steps. People should be allowed to express themselves freely. They should be allowed to say what they want to say about the state of the nation, and not trying to teleguide them to say, this is what you can say, oh, don't touch this part of our, And that's the same thing also with what's happening to Daily Proud TV. You are saying, oh, you can talk about corruption in politics, but you should not talk about corruption in the judiciary. There's a way you can say it. You cannot say it's called diplomacy. And this is how I define diplomacy in Nigeria. Diplomacy is knowing when to lie, how to lie, and to whom to lie to. That is what we call diplomacy here. So when we want to speak the truth, let us speak the truth to power without fear and favor. And that is what I think she is doing. She may be doing it for her, political reasons, pandering to some interest. That's her problem. But what should be our own problem? All right. Be how we need to fix our country so that these things will not be said of us anymore. That is what serious people do, and not trying to tell people that they should not say things that they should say. It's your reality. Live with it or fix it.
Oh, okay, thank you very much, Femi. And now let's look at the vulnerable Nigerians, then the implication of these statements and the intentions. From your own part, of what benefit do you think this statement will be, or maybe marks of what benefit do you think it will be to the average Nigerians, looking at the intentions and, of course, the implications?
The benefit is that it will make your rulers sit tight. It will make them sit up. That's the ideal thing. That is what should happen actually to your rulers. That when they hear things like this, they sit up. Because you go into government, let us get this clearly. You go into government with the promise that you will fix all the problems. That is what they say during their campaigns, at least when they say one or two things. Oh, don't worry, the ethnic division in the country, we would fix it. We would build you roads. We would stop corruption. We will do this. You make all these campaign promises, and now somebody is taking you to account to say, over the years since 1960, all of you together, you've not been able to fix these problems. That should make you feel, I don't know, that should make you feel some kind of sense of urgency that you need to stick to your campaign promises of fixing the country. So what is going to be the implication to the average Nigerian is that a Kemi Badenoch has spoken out despite our political, or ideological deficiencies. Because I am a Pan-Africanist and I believe in the unity of Africans across board. But that's our problem. She's a conservative party leader at that. So it's a problem. But what she has said is true. What should we do? And what's the implication for us? It is for all of us to continue to say all of these issues. What have we not done in this country? We've written papers, we've written petitions, we've protested, we've done many things. So what exactly is now making them feel like, they are just hearing all these things for the first time? Pick up reports from all of these organizations. They are there. Amnesty International, NOPRAIN, CISLAC, RULAC, different organizations that follow some of these issues, including police brutality. They've written a lot of reports. They've had public hearings. They've had all of these things. But what's happening? Nothing. So, but when Kemi Badenoch says something now, everybody's, everybody's threatening as if we're just hearing it for the first time. So the implication is that we all, that we call ourselves the vulnerable, the average Nigerian must continue to speak, and we must hold our leaders to account. Let it not be said of us that anytime bad things that are not so pleasant are to be said, Nigeria would be the one ranking some of these ratings. Our reality needs to change, and we need to hold our rulers accountable. That is the baseline. I'm not going after people because of what they said and all that. If the Nigerian rulers have their way today, they would look for a way Kemi Badenoch would be deported to Nigeria if they can, the way they are now. But I don't think that solves the problem. If you like, go after every other person, go after Showore, go after Dele Farotimi, go after anybody. It does not stop, it does not change the reality until we change what is on ground, which is our reality.
All right, thank you very much, Femi. At least coincidentally, you are a co-convener of the Fund Education Coalition. Let's talk about the role of image building in international relations as it has to do with maybe national development. Now, what do you think? How do you think a country, can be positioned to attract maybe fundings from international organizations based on international relations for national development?
Okay, there's this thing I like about journalists. You always have a way to bring back your question, what you intend to achieve. But let me help with this way. You cannot PR your way to prosperity. No country has done that. You cannot do image laundering, package yourself, do some kind of reformism, and you think that is what's going to make you prosper. No, until you fix the nitty-gritty, which is the economy. If you don't fix your economy, if you like, change your name, package yourself, take nice pictures, don't show your slums, go and show fine places, and you post it elsewhere. You think they are stupid? You think they don't know? The people sending aids to your country who send grains in the 21st century, Nigeria is still getting grains, rice. The people who send those things, they don't know that your country is not.
Well, our time is up almost. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll have you some other time again. This conversation is not something we can end any moment soon.
It does not change anything. Fix the economy, and then you would have a say in the international.
All right. As it is right now, the conversation is getting more intense. Would have loved to continue, but then our time is fast spent, and we have other programs lined up. Well, I think the image of this country is very, very important. Even people build images for themselves, and like Femi have rightly spoken, there are so many things to be corrected in Nigeria as a nation for us to get it right. Because if we must get to where we are anticipating, then it means we need to do a whole lot to make things work out the way it is. And of course, as a matter of fact, we will go on a quick break. After this break, we'll return and we'll bring Global Morning to a close as I have my colleague join me on the program.
your top morning show here on Global Television.
We bring you fresh news updates daily while delving into a variety of current affairs and topics.
Global Morning aims to deliver a newspaper review, latest news with experts on key global issues.
And at the same time, keeping you well informed about important events, both national and international.
Global Morning serves as a valuable source of information, helping viewers like you start your day well informed.
Stay connected from Mondays to Sundays to a wide range of the latest news making rounds on Global Morning.
We're on the road to protest.
The president meets all of our demands.
That's the conversation, and whether you like it or not, it's good to project your own country in a good light. No one doesn't know what is happening, but then at least to whom much is given, much is expected. Even though our guests have said, well, people should not be capitalizing on the statements from Kemi, that it's not all what they mean, or that what she's saying is just the truth, that what the government needs to do is to fix the system. Then at that point you'll be forced to look at it from the aspect of the vulnerable Nigerians who are every day looking for a helper and thinking that, well, developmental activities or fundings come from some non-governmental organizations from countries like this, and getting to know things like this may stop some of these things and all. But then the statement has gone forth, and these are words. It has come. You can take it back.
You know, obviously we are wrapping up now, Ramsey. The issue of Kemi Badenoch has been here for essentially for a couple of weeks, really. We've seen people react to it in different ways on social media and all of that. We've seen articles written by way of response to these remarks, and she has been very consistent. She has been railing, as I'd like to say, to the point that even the Vice President, Kashif Shettima, had to politely ask her to drop her first name if she doesn't want to be a Nigerian anymore and things like that. But the question is Kemi a Nigerian?
That's the question.
All right. Is she a Nigerian? Because this is a lady who has said that she's British. Of course, she's married to a Scot, right? She says she's British. She has even said that, look, she's not, she doesn't identify as much as a Nigerian as she does as a Yoruba. So we must look at all of those. But finally, no matter what is worth, rather than dissipate energy discussing whether or not she's being patriotic, because patriotism on this level is a different conversation, we should be bothered about what exactly were the issues she raised. One is insecurity. The other is social development. We must look at those issues. How are we doing? What are the indices saying regarding our performance on that front? We must look at those and find the humility and courage to tell ourselves the truth and make progress.
Find the humility to tell ourselves the truth and, of course, make progress. I think our leaders need to sit up. These things are avoidable. We can stop these things from happening, these remarks from coming. If things are right, no one will make remarks like this. Sometimes look at it from the other side of the coin. You may be tempted to say, well, this is a concerned citizen, or maybe a patriotic citizen from the other side of the coin anyway, because it needs someone who cares about a country to spell out maybe some of the things that they feel not going well. But then I think some persons are saying it may have been said in a more lighter note, and not on the forums where these statements are being said. All right, well, this is where we bring Global Morning to a close. It's been a very wonderful time with my wonderful colleague Uyi. Well, anytime myself and Uyi are on the show, there is there is, I don't know, the word ginger is a slang, right? Don't forget that we have so many other programs lined up for viewing pleasure for the day. Stay with us on Global Television. I am Ramsey Enoch Agbo, and of course my colleague Uli is right on the show with me all through. Thank you very much.